The lion happens in the pride grounds of Africa, where a lion rules over different creatures as ruler. As sunrise breaks, Robert Guillaume, a mandrill, strolls through the crowd and climbs the essence of Pride Rock to welcome his companion, ruler Mufasa, James Duke Jones. Mufasa drives Rafiki to his mate Sarabi, Madge Sinclair, who is holding their infant fledgling. Rafiki blesses the fledgling with natural product juices prior to introducing him to the assembled creatures. The creatures cheer and afterward bow. In the interim, Scar, Jeremy Irons, the more youthful sibling of Mufasa, is pouting without help from anyone else behind Pride Rock. He is desirous of his sibling's situation as Lord, and is disappointed at the way that he won't ever be above all else since Mufasa has a successor. Mufasa and his servant, a hornbill named Zazu, Rowan Atkinson, defy Scar on why he was absent at the function that morning. Scar disregards it, asserting he had neglected, and jeers his new obligation to recognize the future Lord prior to straying. As rainstorms soak the Pride grounds, Rafiki is found in his tree home, an enormous baobab, adding subtleties to his freshest piece of wall workmanship. He laughs softly as he wraps up, recounting the new fledgling's name, Simba, Jonathan Taylor Thomas. Presently a sprouting youth, Simba rises mid one morning and bothers his dad to get up and show him the grounds he's bound to manage over. Mufasa delineates from the highest point of Pride Rock that all that the light contacts is their realm, with the exception of a put not too far off that is canvassed in shadow. Mufasa prohibited from truly going there. Out in the fields, Mufasa lets Simba know that there is an equilibrium to all life which at last ends up back at square one, the circle of life. At the point when Zazu shows up with a morning report, Mufasa makes a move to give Simba a jumping example which goes effectively. Sadly, as Simba prepares to attempt once more, Zazu unexpectedly shouts that a gathering of hyenas has been found in the Pride terrains. Mufasa surges off to manage it while Zazu brings Simba back home. Simba gets back to Pride Rock where his uncle Scar is hiding about. Simba gloats about his destiny to be Lord, to which Scar responds with no trace of energy. Nonchalantly, and prodding Simba's fervor, Scar inquires as to whether Mufasa showed him the shadow put on their morning walk. At the point when Simba answers no, Scar adds that it is a hazardous spot where unquestionably the most valiant lions adventure. Simba livens up, saying he's courageous, and asks his uncle to let him know what's there. Scar pretends a coincidental mistake by uncovering that it's an elephant burial ground, yet adulates Simba's intelligence. He asks that Simba never investigate the spot, however, as Simba consoles him and leaves, Scar grins to himself, realizing beyond any doubt that Simba's interest will get the better of him. Simba gets together with his companion Nola, Niketa Callum Harris, who is being washed by her mom, Sarafina Zoe pioneers her regarding a cool spot he has found, deceiving Sarabi that it's around the water opening. Sarabi allows them to go as long as Zazu goes with them. En route, Simba and Nola devise an arrangement together to dispose of Zazu, which works. They then run off, Nola flaunting her abilities as a specialist pinner, prior to ending up in the elephant cemetery. Out of nowhere, Zazu returns and requests that they leave. Simba flaunts his dauntlessness by chuckling before an enormous skull. Giggling reverberations from the inside and three hyenas arise, encompassing the whelps. Shenzi, Whoopi Goldberg, Banzai, Cheech Marin, and Ed, Jim Cummings conscious how's to be managed the whelps, all the more explicitly, how to eat them. The offspring and Zazu escape briefly, yet Zazu is pulled back and stuffed into an evaporator which shoots him very high. The hyenas in the end corner, the whelps in a nook, and Simba attempts to thunder. The hyenas giggle and advise him to attempt once more. A genuine thunder is let out as Mufasa shows up and assaults the hyenas before they run off. Zazu returns close by and Simba attempts to say something, yet Mufasa irately condemns him for being purposely rebellious, and leads them toward home. Back in the Pride terrains, Mufasa advises Zazu to bring Nola back home while he shows Simba a thing or two. Unfortunate and submissive, Simba approaches his dad, seeing that his dad's paw print is a lot greater than his own. He is sorry for resisting, yet says he simply needed to be courageous like Mufasa. Mufasa tells Simba he's possibly fearless when he must be. As they accommodate, Mufasa lets Simba know that every one of the stars in the night sky are the spirits of rulers past, and that they will constantly be there to direct him, as will he. Back in the cemetery, the hyenas rest and recuperate and squabble with one another. Their battles are separated by Scar, who is welcomed as a companion. Disturbed that the hyenas couldn't discard the offspring, he proposes an arrangement that would dispense with both Simba and Mufasa from the privileged position. The following day, Scar accompanies Simba through a chasm and puts him close to a stone concealed by a sapling, letting him know that Mufasa is arranging an unexpected treat for him. Scar teaches Simba to wait while he brings Mufasa and recommends that he practice his thunder while he's away. Simply over the canyon, the three hyenas lie on pause before an enormous group of wildebeest. Scar shows up above them, flagging them. As Simba pauses, glaring over his little thunder, a chameleon moves down from the tree. Simba works on thundering at it, at last letting off one boisterous enough to drive the chameleon and reverberation away all sides of the canyon. Be that as it may, the ground begins shaking and Simba admires the crowd of wildebeest pursuing the chasm straight for him. He takes off, the wildebeest acquiring, while Scar cautions Mufasa close by that there is a rush in the canyon and Simba is down there. Simba figures out how to grasp a messed up tree, raising himself over the wildebeest's horns while Mufasa descends and runs close by the creatures. He figures out how to get Simba in his mouth and conveys him to somewhere safe and secure, yet is pulled back by the charging creatures. After a strained second, Simba watches his dad jump onto the side of the chasm, digging his hooks into the soil and battling up the slope. As Mufasa approaches the top, he sees Scar remaining over him. He argues for help, yet Scar digs his hooks into his paws and ridicules him prior to pushing him off. Simba observes vulnerably as Mufasa falls onto the rushing group. As the residue settles, Simba gets down to search for his dad. He finds him underneath a wrecked tree, dead. As he grieves his misfortune, Scar shows up and faults Simba for what occurred. Simba, thinking he had begun the rush that killed his dad, follows his uncle's counsel when Scar advises him to take off and stay away forever. Simba runs off as Scar teaches his hyenas to kill him. The three hyenas pursue Simba to the edge of a slope where he tumbles into an ocean of thorns. Sufficiently little to stay away from the sharp spikes, Simba goes through them as the hyenas scarcely figure out how to stop close to the base. Unfortunate Banzai is pushed into the thistles and arises wailing, stayed with thistles. The hyenas watch as Simba runs into far-off desert and conclude that he will doubtlessly bite the dust, yelling to him that in the event that he at any point returns, they will kill him. Scar gets back to Pride Rock to declare that both Simba and Mufasa have died in the rush and expects the job as ruler. The lioness is on search in dread as a swarm of hyenas shows up to live close by Scar at Pride Rock. Rafiki observes bleakly from a good ways and smears the picture he had once made of Simba. In the desert,